Engineers Stock team members, friends, students, and our office staff, Mr. Tiago. Good evening. On behalf of the Institution of Engineers India Salem Local Center, it is my honor and privilege to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you to our special event celebrating the 30th anniversary of our esteemed institution and celebrating National Maritime Day. As we gather here today, we mark a significant milestone in our journey of fostering engineering excellence and promoting innovation in the field of maritime engineering and beyond. Over the past 3 decades, IEI Salem Local Center has been at the forefront of advancing engineering knowledge, facilitating collaboration, and nurturing the talents of budding engineers. Today's event holds particular significance as we come together to reflect on the achievements of our center and explore new horizons in the realm of sustainability shipping. The theme of National Maritime Day 2024 is Sustainable Shipping, charting a greener course for the future, underscores the importance of adapting eco-friendly practices and embarking technological advancements to ensure the long-term viability of our oceans and maritime industries. Our distinguished keynote speaker, Captain S. Viswanathan sir, brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the table as he delves into the challenges and opportunities inherent in sustainable shipping. His insights will undoubtedly inspiring us to explore innovative solutions and collaborative initiatives that promote environmental stewardship and economic prosperity in the maritime sector. Also, I render our special thanks to Mr. Ajit Stalin for the support and for arranging Captain Sir. As we embark on this enlightening journey together, I encourage each of you to actively engage in today's discussions, share your perspectives, and forge meaningful connections with fellow professionals and industry experts. Let us leverage this platform to exchange ideas, cultivate partnerships, and drive positive change for a more sustainable and excellent future. Once again, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all our distinguished guests, speakers, and attendees for gracing us with your presence and contributing to the success of this event. Together, let us reaffirm our commitment to excellence, innovation, and sustainability as we navigate the seas of progress and prosperity. Thank you. Jai Hind.
I call upon Engineer D. Gubendran, MIE member, World Maritime Day, Institution of Engineers India, Salem Local Center, to give introduction about our honorable chief guest, Captain S. Vishwanathan.
Good evening to all. I am very much delighted to introduce our guest speaker today, Captain S. Vishwanathan sir, who has warmly accepted our invitation to join with us today. He is an accomplished man in marine fraternity. He holds Master FG license from India and DP Unlimited license from Nautical Institute, UK. As a young man, he started working in oil tankers for 15 years up to the rank of master. Then he has shifted to offshore industry for 7 years, dealing various kinds of DP2 offshore vessels, including oceanographic research vessel, anchor handling and supply tugs, well stimulation vessel, heavy lift pipe lay and construction vessel, work and maintenance vessel, platform supply vessels. Then he has worked as port captain in Global Sea Service and supervised loading and unloading of heavy lift project cargoes. He has also worked as external examiner for MMD examination for second exams. Coming to his academic experiences, he was principal of DG approved Maritime Training Center for 1.5 years and as Dean of College of Fisheries Nautical Technology for 4 years in Tamil Nadu, Dr. J. Jayalalitha Fisheries University, and presently working as Associate Professor in Maritime University, Chennai campus from September 2023 onwards. So now I hand over the session to our esteemed guest, Captain S. Swaminathan sir, S. Viswanathan sir, for a valuable and enriching session. Sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. And I'm very happy that National Maritime Day, you have initiative on that, to arrange for a knowledge sharing session. So it is quite interesting. And also being a associate professor, I'm very happy to share my knowledge or experience of 23 years at sea. Very nice. Then I will just share my PowerPoint. You can just see whether it is. Can you see the PowerPoint, sir?
Yes, sir, visible, sir.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. Okay, so nice. Thank you, sir. Today's topic, which was given to me, was sustainable shipping challenges and opportunities. It is a very well spoken word, sustainable shipping, very recently. Since my joining in 1995 until now, lot of changes in the shipping has taken place. One of the word, very recently what we are hearing is a sustainable shipping. So my talk is going to be mainly on the introduction. Since many of you are all engineers, there will be a lot of gaps, that which we need to concentrate for ensuring the sustainable shipping. First, let us understand what is shipping. Normally, it's a physical movement of cargo from one point to another point. It is a definition normally is given for the shipping. And the same name, general definition is for the transportation of the cargo through sea. Even though we transport the cargoes from one place to other place, the name ship is taken that word, because it is transporting nearly 80 to 90% of the cargoes internationally moves through sea. And if you take it in Indian Ocean, 66% of the world oil, 33% of the bulk cargoes like, iron ore, coal, and 50% of the containers are transported through Indian Ocean. So Indian Ocean is one of the main among all three oceans, where cargo transportation is taking place. That is the importance. And this is one of the picture, which I have just captured from Vessel Tracker. It is freely available software. You can see how many ships are moving around the world. This includes fishing vessel, offshore vessels also. When you zoom it in, you will be able to see a kind of vessels, which are plying in the seas. So with this concentrated amount of vessel, how much of trade or the sea has been used for human purposes. So we have to begin with some early trade, the history, from the history, how we have come to this level of our shipping and where we have to think about, sustainable shipping. Earlier trade, it used to be like, we have a lot of evidence in the Sangam literature, from the Sangam literatures, around about 2000 to 2500 years back, that vessels, the trade used to take place through land as well as through sea, but the sea is the main important, for ensuring the peaceful trade is there. For that trade, they used to use our monsoon winds. That is the advantage. If you find, about 2000 years back, there were no trade taking place across Pacific Ocean and Atlantic. But through Indian Ocean, it was happening. It is mainly because of the trade winds and monsoon winds. These two winds, to ensure that there is a pattern is set for the trade. If you take around 200 to 250 vessels from the Red Sea area, that is near Egypt or Arabia, used to depart during the southwest monsoon, come and do trading in the Indian, and when the northeast monsoon is setting, all the vessels will return back to Red Sea. And from the Red Sea, they have to carry the cargo through camels, and they transport you to Mediterranean Sea, then they will take you to Rome or Greek. That is the kind of pattern was there. So the pattern is set for every year, yearly pattern, so it is very well set, and the cargo or trade was very much flourishing in this. But as the day passed, around 17th or 18th centuries, there used to be a big revolution, three areas in the maritime shipping. Wooden boats were replaced with steel ships, and wind-powered system was, replaced with the steam or diesel engine-powered. Third important revolution was radio and wireless communications. So previously, there were no communications. So these three steps, which entered into the shipping industry, made a huge impact on the development of the shipping industry further. Now we have to see what are the kind of ships we have. Earlier, it used to be only sailing vessels. Now we have different type of vessels, for carrying out a specific cargo also it is possible. Like, normally we can categorize them as the dry cargo vessels, liquid cargo vessels, live ships, offshore vessels. Dry cargo vessel can generally carry, bulk cargo, break bulk or heavy lift, like, coal, and break bulk is like, machineries. Heavy lift is like, some kind of, machineries, maybe about 300 or 500, even more than that, that kind of weight, the ships are specially designed like that. Containers, ro ships, the cargo can be carried inside, on the wheel, so that we call the ro ships. Different kind of ships are available, to the customer's need. Liquid cargo generally, oil, chemical, gas, all these are carried in the liquid form. Like live cargos are like, passenger vessels, cattle carriers, and offshore vessels are in numbers, depending upon the type of vessels. There are, according to their need, they make, heavy lift, pipelay, supply, support, transportations, the well simulations, and even for installing the windmill, they have a specialist vessel. So these kind of vessels, they are operating at sea. Now we have to get some small data about what are the kind of number of ships we have in the world. According to the UNCTAD statistics, 2022, there are about over 1 lakh ships are there, in which, oil tankers are about 11,000 plus, bulk carriers are 12,000 plus, general cargoes are 20,000 plus, container ships about 5,500, and other type of ships are like about nearly 53,000. So these are the amount of vessels, they are plying at sea and transporting cargoes and offshore activities. Now to understand, since we are all not mariners, I have to just make some kind of understanding about, each ships, if you take one ship, how much will be the dimension, with the small calculations also. We can take, for example, one container ship called MSC Irina, launched in March 2023. Okay, it is just 1 year old. You can see on the picture also. What is the size? It can carry 24,346 20 equivalent feet containers. 24,000, it's not a small number, it's very huge, and the length is nearly 400 meters, and the breadth is 61.3 meters. If you stand on one side, other side, it's very difficult to see. But here the containers are arranged in the middle, so it's very difficult to see. But even otherwise, 400 meter means like, you go from aft, that is behind, and to go to the forward, the foremost part, and then come back, you can just cover nearly 1 kilometer. Its total cargo carrying capacity is 240,000 tons, and the engine is 80 RPM. Maximum cruising range power is 70,950 kilowatt. It is coming nearly 95,000 bhp. We can always just do a comparison, like, since we are all engineers, we'll be having that idea. It can consume fuel about 243 tons per day. 243 is a very huge number. 28 such vessels have been delivered in 2003 until 2024. In 14 months, there are 28 new vessels has been constructed of this size. So this indicates that, like, that demand for cargo transportations. If you go back, like, even 1 year before, nearly 50 vessels, you can just browse in the website, So that is the kind of vessel have been added to the sea to transport the cargo. That means there is a huge amount of volume of cargo is being transported by sea. Now, further, if you go there, like, so it can carry 240,739 tons of cargo, consuming about 243 tons per day. Cost of the fuel is total, per day is, 1,70,580 USD per day. So, okay, just I calculated that in dollars, how much will be the cost per day for the fuel it is consuming, like, 1,42 crores it is consuming. Okay, so if there is a voyage of, let us say, 15 days, from Singapore to Suez, you can just calculate how much. But for the calculation, I have taken Valencia, that is in Spain. The distance from Singapore is 6,784 nautical miles. She can do a maximum speed of 21 knots. So with that speed, she can consume, days, 13.46 days. So total fuel consumed is about 3,280 tons for that entire voyage. So when you calculate, per ton of cargo, she consumes only 13.6 kg per ton of cargo, which is very, very small amount. We know, like, why the cargo are being transported by sea. is because of this reason, with very less amount of fuel, you should be able to move enormous amount of cargoes. None of the other transportation, like, whether it is rail, road, or even the air, it cannot do it. Okay, so this is the amount of transportation is taking place, or trade is taking place through sea, and sea is being used. Now, the question is like, we have come to that level, and where we have to discuss about sustainability. Okay, so what is sustainability? Sustainability in shipping is the ability to retain, maintain something at the certain rate or level. Something like a well, like, so you just, whatever the water you are taking it, like, you should be able to maintain it. That is sustainability. But in the shipping, it is not happening because enormous amount of cargo is being transported. So what are the problem with the shipping? In sustainability, today shipping causes huge CO2 emission. It is not only CO2, it is SO2, sulfur dioxide, nitric oxide, and some of the volatile organic components, which finally leads to CO2 emissions, and it causes huge pollution damages and global warming, which is very higher rate. So what is the impact of CO2 emissions in compared to maritime industry, like transportation sectors? All over the world, about 20.2% of the world total CO2 emission is from the transport sector. Global merchant fleet, it's only about 3% of the global carbon dioxide emission is there. Cargo ships are reported to produce 16.14 grams of CO2 per kilometers for each metric ton of cargo they carry. Container ships, like, average annual is 140 million metric tons of carbon dioxide. Bulk carrier contributes a total of 440. These are some of the statistics where, like, the shipping is also a good contributor of CO2 in the world. International Maritime Organization, which is the regulatory body for the maritime sectors under United Nations, has revised its sight on the achieving of net zero emission for the sector by around 2050. They wanted to go for a zero CO2 emissions by 2050. Is it possible? That is what we are going to see it briefly. Further, they have set like a sustainable development goal and green shipping. Like, we can see which are the areas shipping can contribute for the sustainable development goals. SDG 14 is life underwater. Ships are responsible for promotion of maritime plastic litter. Okay, so life underwater is like fishery resources, biotic and abiotic resources. Ships are polluting, they are letting a number of, it's a good amount of plastic into the sea, but anyway, it is being controlled, but still they can contribute for SDG 14. Next one is the SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. Fossil fuels remains the primary energy source for the shipping industry. We have seen, like, one vessel is consuming like nearly 250 tons of fuel per day, means it's a huge amount. So that much of burning of fuel, that pollution is added to the air. And SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, major source of employment. It's a very good indicator, like, world shipping, 12% of the seafarers are from India. It's contributing in a good amount of employment, not only for the world population, but also for Indian populations. You can see, like, nearly 16,47,500 seafarers are working at sea. SDG 9 is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Optimize trade route and technology to streamline. Size of the vessels are keep increasing, so you have to minimize the consumption, and better weather routing and planning, where you can reach one place to other place in a very short time with less fuel consumption. So that kind of activities can be done to support, SDGs 13 climate actions, alternative fuels and batteries. These are the very important things, which we'll be seeing for the sustainable developments. So what are the challenges we are going to face for the achieving that net zero? What are the development has come into the industry, like, harness renewable energy sources to power ocean going vessel. You may see this kind of vessels with rotor sails, where that rotors will be rotating, which will be giving a Magnus force, velocity difference causes the vessel to be pushed, where you can reduce the fuel consumption by 3 to 15% on the main engine fuel consumption. Maersk is one of the company which has demonstrated a reduction of 8.2% in the fuel consumption during the year-long trial they have reported. This is one kind of activities, for reducing the fuel consumptions. Another one is, fitting a rigid sail on ships. Fuel consumption savings are approximately 10 to 30% are being reported under favorable conditions. Again, like, whatever the technology is coming in, to put in the practice, it is not easy. Economically, viability plus demonstration should be successful. All these factors are there. These kind of rigid ships, it is not practically to carry out this. Lot of research need to be done, for the efficient implementation of our activities. Third important thing is it is a parasailing vessel, they call it. They just put a parachute, and because of the Wind Act, it is pushing the vessel. Yeah, under the sail alone, the ship reach 15 knots in some cases, because if you want to go against the wind direction, it is very difficult. Okay, so wind has to be pushing you all the way. So in optimum situation, the fuel cost savings are as high as 50%. Then again, latest technology or latest development in the maritime field is switching over from the fuel oil to cleaner alternatives. One is LNG, liquefied natural gas, where they fit a big tank on the deck of the vessel, and they use the methane gas for propulsion of the engine, where this LNG, when it is released into the atmosphere, it is 80 times more potent for capturing the greenhouse effect, and it is 30 times worse in long term. So they are very dangerous. Unburned LNG, when it is released into the atmosphere, is more dangerous than the CO2. But the present technology, when it is used for the LNG fueled engines, there is a lot of unburned LNG which is mixing with the air. That is really causing a concern. They just started about few years back, and now they realize that, so it is taking a back step now. So they are still going for a better one. Slips directly from the ship's funnel is, that is a very important factor for not 100% successful of engines. Another one is like pure hydrogen or hydrogen blends with conventional fuels can be an alternative fuel for the ship propulsion. Low energy density, which would increase the storage needs on board the vessel. Again, you need a huge amount of hydrogen for transporting the cargo, because it needs a good amount of energy for the main engine to run. So it is again for the coastal vessels, or very short distance vessels, small vessels, you can perfectly use it. But for ocean going vessels, where the huge amount of cargo is transported, it is not practicable. Another thing is a biofuel like methanol and ammonia, convenient way of shipping companies to reduce their carbon emission. They just add it into their fuel, so that biofuel content is increased, and they can have a cleaner exhaust, so the pollution can be minimized. The another thing is a battery electric or hybrid system. Battery pack require a lot more space. You cannot get that amount of energy from the battery to run a ship. But of course, there are small boats, and even some of the vessels, we had one vessel where payloaders, of huge size for shifting the cargo within the vessel, that is battery operated. So small equipment like that, it can be used with the battery operated. But for running a vessel, we don't have to have the battery operated engines. Hydrogen fuel cells, it is another technology being used now, generates electricity by utilizing the chemical energy contained in the hydrogen. It is the beginning now. There are vessels, small vessels are there, but there is a lot of research and development need to be done for the efficient implementation. So this is another example, hydrogen fuel cell vessel. Country's first indigenous green hydrogen fuel cell inland waterway vessel was launched by Prime Minister in February 28. It is just less than a month back. It is given by Tamil Nadu government to UP government, for transportation of passengers in the river Ganga. Another way, the reducing the fuel consumption, there is a lot of technologies coming, and optimizing their design and equipment. When you design a vessel with a bulbous bow or stem, changing slightly design of the vessel will reduce the fuel consumption by better passing through the waves and all. One of the technologies, in the vessel, in the picture you can see there is a bubbles being released in the bottom of the vessel. Series of bubbles, these bubbles, what will make, it will be lubricating the ship's hull when it is passing through the water, so that the resistance from the water is minimized, so that you have better speed. MSC Loretto is the sister vessel of the vessel which you have seen, the Irina. Okay, this is also about 400 meters long vessel. They have been delivered about 1 year back. They have a smart design of the vessel to use less fuel, like big propellers, a system to make air bubbles in the reduce the water resistance, and hybrid scrubbers for cutting down the carbon dioxide emission by 3 to 4%. These are the new vessels. Normally they are fitted or equipped with this kind of equipments to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions. This is one of the container vessel, which is the largest one, the latest one, 24,346 TEUs. And another factors what they consider is, you make the hull very smooth. Okay, you nicely paint it, with the minimum number of obstructions on the hull, so that when the water passes or the ship is smoothly passing through, so that the speed is maintained, it is not reduced because of the hull conditions. Upgrading the engine to more energy efficient model also very crucial. Like nowadays, that changes in the development taking place in the engines, are very fast. The new technological development is implemented in the vessel design as well as in the machinery is very fast. And you see the hull, there are some white things. We call it an anode, mainly for corrosion prevention of the propellers and the hull. So that cannot be avoided. Even though whatever the best possible smoothness we are planning for the vessel to have, this kind of friction will be always there anyway. But that is, we cannot avoid that, and that can be minimized. And utilizing the slow steaming to reduce the speed is another important factors, where when we were working like in our ages and all, we used to plan so nicely that like, tomorrow you are going to reach the port, maybe midnight, but you will be going inside at 6 o'clock only or 7 o'clock in the morning. So the 6 or 7 hours, you can reduce your speed so that you directly go and approach the port and directly you get berthed. So the slow steaming, it will be the fuel saving will be exponential. So that way, like, we can save a good amount of fuel. It is planning and better operation of the vessel by master and chief engineer, who are all there on board ships. Then again, like, another important factors which we consider when we are going crossing Atlantic or Pacific or even Indian Ocean, where the passage is about 10-15 days, we normally go for weather routing. Depending upon the weather conditions, if you are heading to the wind, you will be doing less speed. Or maybe like, you take the wind on one side of the vessel, so you'll be doing better speed. So that kind of algorithm based, softwares are available. And weather prediction also, it is possible up to 15 days in ahead. So accordingly, they plan their passage, with respect to the weather condition at sea and the distance at sea. So they very smoothly, the best route they plan it, so that they are doing better speed along the sea and reach earlier. So by that way, like, they can reduce the fuel consumption. So weather routing options are plenty available nowadays, with the new softwares. And recently, another thing, they say that, like, when we are coming to the shore, you're coming to the port, they say that, okay, you shut down all your machineries, generators. We will supply you the power. In ports, the engines are not making, generators are not making any noise, so the power is you receive it from the shore. But ultimately, like, you may not be polluting the air, but wherever you are getting the power, from that factory, the pollution is already given. But anyway, it to some extent, the port areas, they don't get polluted much. This is also many harbors or many ports, they do that supplying of shore power for the vessel. There are some policy measures encourage companies and organizations to invest in carbon offset project as a means to compensate for their emissions. So, okay, so this is the government initiative. Many countries, they are already doing it, even for International Maritime Organization also promoting this. And for transportation of empty containers, this is where, like, very careful planning we can do. Yeah, container transportation takes place one way, like, loaded containers, and the other way on the empty containers, because the container trade is the only trade where, loaded and empty containers both get traded. Even if you want to hire empty containers, and if it is not available, you have to import from other countries, you have to pay a lot of money for that. So empty container and the loaded container, both occupy the same volume of spaces. Okay, so to avoid that, what they do now, that they make the collapsible type of containers. In place of one container, they can transport 4 empty containers. In that way, like, the transportation of containers on the other route is optimized so that, the cost for transportation is reduced. Ultimately, it leads to less fuel consumption. So this is a new very concept, and it has been introduced, and it is going on nowadays. Train seafarers and shipping professionals on sustainable practices and eco-friendly technologies. Okay, so this is the ongoing project, and during when I used to be there also, there used to be a lot of trainings, and the push from the companies, to minimize the fuel consumption at sea. Wherever possible, reduce the speed. No need to go for very high speed. Practice great circle route to reduce distances. Okay, great circle routes are the shortest distance between any two places, but they are likely to have a worst weather conditions also. So you have to just play with the weather routing system to get the best route, and accordingly you can just do the passage. Careful planning of the efficient use of the generators wherever possible. You try to use minimum generators. Normally ships are having 3 to 4 generators, and for the routine operations, one generator is good enough. But in the port where you do the cargo operation and all, generally they keep 2 generators, and the third one is as a backup. Okay, so that way, like, when we very carefully plan it, we can just minimize the fuel consumption in that also. So regulatory measures, this is done when there is a engine design and construction stage. They make like energy efficiency existing ship index. Some kind of number calculations they do for the efficiency of the engines in reducing the pollution. Accordingly, they will give you a number, and you will be given some kind of concession. For example, you go to Europe. If you have your energy efficiency ship index is better, accordingly they can reduce the charges, higher charges, for the vessels in the port. So this kind of promotion they do. And also they created like emission controls area. This is a very common practices, on the Europe, US, Baltic Sea, North Sea, and all. Some areas they say that no, you cannot use fuel oil. You have to use gas oil or diesel oil. Nowadays, the releasing of the sulfur dioxide or sulfur content in the fuel must be 0.1% and below. Some area they say that, accordingly that area they can just reduce the pollution. But outside that area, it can be further increased, because of the availability of the fuel also we have to pay. So in that way, like, when you restrict the fuel oil consumption of a particular sulfur content, so the pollution can be minimized in that region. Ships also generally have the ship energy efficiency management plan. It is very well trained by the engineers and the officers, to efficiently use the fuel on board. So this manual or this plan will support them, for with all the guidance and everything. Marine pollution regulations are there, very stringent, and it is not very easy to violate. It's very difficult to violate these kind of regulations, and you will be easily caught. So many authorities, will be very, very carefully watching, so in violation of MARPOL regulations, and the ships are like, perfectly following this, and we are tuned for that, so these measures, when we are discussing about all these measures, even though we have seen only 3% of the air pollution or pollution is from the shipping, but world 50% of the measures to control the pollution is observed by the shipping industry, because shipping industries are running, all over. You don't know which country you are today and which country you are going to tomorrow. So you are the weakest point. Any inspection can be done at any time. So that inspection and other matters related to regulatory compliance, it is very strictly followed there. The African country is different, Australia is different. You go to Australia, they will go very strict. You go to Africa, also, like, they have their own system. So that way, we have to be very, very good in compliance with the regulations. So that is the reason, why we are able to be very good in controlling the pollution from the ships, and new technologies are coming into the ships. We have seen the challenges, what are the measures they have taken. Now you will see what are the opportunities because of the global warming. Global warming is always we cannot always say that, it is negative, but there are some good points also. So that I will just discuss now. There is a new route has been created by the global warming. We call it like, there are three colors, roots are there. And the pictures you can see, like, it is not a normal picture, but it is taken from the North Pole. It is the Arctic Ocean. We call it the Northern Sea route along the Arctic coast of Russia. If you want to go from London to Vladivostok, that is the east coast, or Japan, you can easily reach. Okay, it would reduce a maritime journey between East Asia and West Europe from 21,000 kilometers using the Suez Canal to 12,800 kilometers, cutting transit time by 15 days maximum. When the ice is melted because of the global warming, ships are playing, start using, they already have the icebreakers and all, and there are many number of vessels are pausing with the help of icebreakers, where they save around 10 to 15 days when they are going from the Europe to Far East. This is the new creation. Another route creation is the Northwest Passage, that is in the Canada region. So Canada region also, that ice is melting, and where about 13,600 kilometers using the Northwest Passage, while taking 24,000 kilometers using the Panama Canal. There also like nearly 11,000 kilometers we can save. The third route, the blue color route, is the Trans-Pacific Arctic, trans-Arctic shipping route, but that is not in use because still we have the ice. If more global warming is taking place, that also will melt down. It will. So the ships are likely to go very close to the North Pole. Which is a very, very dangerous situation will be, because of Siberia and Canada, when the ice is melting, it is going to release a lot of methane gases. That will be disaster. So that route is also in the pipeline, where they are going to plan their passages, for the existing Northwest Passage as well as Northern Sea route. Okay, so more number of vessels will be plying, and they will be reducing the fuel consumption by shortening the days. Okay, but you have to play between the fuel reduction or melting of the ice. It is a very, very tough decision to make. Now, if you see that how we are going to achieve net zero in 2050 by United Nations, they have taken the 8 measures which will reduce, or which they are looking into, to go for net zero. In that, all of them are, not related to, none of them are related to the shipping. So mainly like land-based or land transportations, factories and all. But shipping is also important, and one of that we have to reduce. But in that line, it is not in the top 8. But lot of measures have been taken in the shipping industry for reducing the oil pollution, these air pollutions, where the CO2 emission is there. And the questions is like, can we achieve by 2050 the net zero? Is the debatable questions. It is not possible. Like, I can give you one example. LNG, they were considered an alternative for the heavy fuel oil. But now, within a short span of time, maybe about 4 or 5 years, they said LNG, there is a lot of unburned gas is released to the atmosphere, which will be more dangerous. And second thing is, that the amount of cargo transportation is taking place. It is earlier, it used to be for the supply and demand, where you have more cargo, you take it to the area where less cargo. But nowadays, it is not like that. I can give one example. Windmill blades are manufactured in India, particularly in Tamil Nadu. That is exported to foreign countries. But Tamil Nadu is the leading state in India, where like a lot of windmill are installed. All these windmills are imported from foreign countries like China. Okay, so that means the supply and demand is not like where you have the items in high quantity or not. It is according to our need. So we are exporting the windmill blades outside, and for our own use we we import from outside. That means there is a lot of transportation involved, where there are a lot of fuel is burned, for this kind of activities to take place. So these kind of activities will be there, it's very difficult to control it. So in that way, like, achieving net zero in 2050, I don't know how much it is going to be possible. That is my personal view. So the technological development will be able to answer these questions. That's all. With that, I will just finish for the day. So you can just ask any questions, open for all. Yes, sir. Any questions, sir?
Yeah, participants, if you have any queries, now the floor is open. Please, you can post your queries. Yeah, if no queries, Harini, we can go for the next agenda.
Now I invite Dr. C. Davamani, FIE, Honorary Secretary, Institution of Engineers in the sector.
Thank you, Harini. Am I audible, sir, Chairman, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Most respected chief guest and keynote speaker, Captain S. Vishwanathan, sir, respected Chairman, sir, respected members from state and local center, fellow members, students from various organizations. Good evening to all. It's my pride to propose vote of thanks on this great occasion, Engineers Talk, a weekly online lecture series. This is the 20th Engineers Talk series. In this topic, sustainable shipping challenges and opportunities. On behalf of each and everyone, I am very much happy to thank our chief guest and keynote speaker, Captain S. Vishwanathan, sir, Master, FG, MBA, Associate Professor, IMUCC, Chennai, on the topic sustainable shipping challenges and opportunities. Actually, presentation and insights about the sustainable development goal and green shipping it is very much useful for all engineers and also new information for all of us, sir. Because in all domain engineer we used to meet frequently, but marine engineers is very rare to interact. But we got the chance to interact with you, and we are here from you. This is fortunate, sir. Some days before we had a session with Mr. Govendran, sir. So this is the second time we are hearing from the marine engineers. So all the information is very new, and also it is very informative to all. Also, thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time spent with us. I would like to extend my gratitude to our beloved Chairman, sir, Dr. K. Tangaraj, sir, who is rendering constant guidance and support for excellence of all our IEA activities. I extend my thanks to the engineer stock team, Dr. Kumaravel, sir, Dr. Satish Kumar, sir, Dr. Engineer K.S. Selvam, sir. They took the responsibility of this seminar to be successful. I would like to thank Mr. D. Gubendran, sir, for his valuable presence and introduce our chief guest. Thank you, Gubendran, sir. I extend my thanks to Mr. Tiago for taking care all the things and informing to all the members frequently and conduct this webinar successfully. I have to thank Harini for your timely help to support this webinar. Finally, I want to express my gratitude to each and everyone who present today.